876 stream. Bless up.
So, after 4 games at Russia 2018, 13 goals were scored. At this stage, in this tournament, it's 14 goals, one more than 4 years ago. The record, 171 goals scored back in 1998 and 2014. Will that record be broken? Well, only time will tell. All of this and much more, this is Now Streaming Qatar.
876 stream. Bless up.
So, welcome back to our post-game show, day 2 of Now Streaming Qatar, the greatest show on earth from Qatar. I'm Simon Preston. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button and go ahead and hit that subscribe button to this YouTube channel, 876 Stream Jamaica. And you can also follow for more updates throughout the course of the World Cup as well. On Instagram, it is 876 Stream, and also on Twitter, it is Stream876. And if you want to share your views as well, you can also use the hashtag #FullTimeStream. And also in the comments as well, there is a poll, a question that for you all to answer. And it is, are England solid World Cup contenders? We'll get to England quite shortly. We really will. And it's good to see people in the comments also voting as well, and to see everyone that is watching at this point in time. So thank you so much, and do stay tuned for the discussion that we have for the next 45 minutes or so with our panel. So let us introduce our panel for this afternoon. To my extreme right, we have Kadish Fishley. You'll remember her from yesterday, football coach right here on the island, and of course football analyst. And we also have Alex Taylor. You would have seen him in the comments yesterday and also today with England as well. An avid, die-hard England fan. Another football analyst with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. How are you both doing?
Thanks for having me.
Alex, how are you?
Good. I am positive. I am optimistic. I am happy how the World Cup has started, specifically, of course, with how England has started. But generally, with the quality of football, I think we've seen some good football so far, and we're in tune to see some good football going forward. So I'm happy.
Indeed, day 2, and we've already seen a lot of excitement in terms of the results so far in the competition. For you, the results in the first game with England, never in doubt for you? Those are the results? You always knew that it was going to be a win, or you had some nerves in?
No, never in doubt. I think we started a little slow. I think Iran had set up, of course, with a bank of 5, so we already knew what the agenda was there. But knowing that this is a group of technical English football players, I didn't have any doubt that they would be able to break them down, especially how Southgate set up the team with a back 4. You had an idea of what his intentions were. So I didn't necessarily have any doubts, and I think the plan was executed quite nicely for the game.
And Kadish, your thoughts about the English team and how they performed today?
I think they've set down a marker. After scoring 3-0 to go in at the half, they could have just came out and said, all right, let's just phone it home. But they came back out and they continued to attack, and they've let the rest of the teams know that they're here to play.
Yes, certainly. We do have a couple of visuals for you, and as you can see on your screen, we have the results of the day in case you're just joining us. So as you can see on your screen, 12 goals were scored today across 3 games at an average of 4 goals per game. England 6. Yes, you're seeing that correctly. It's not a hockey score. It's not a lacrosse score. It is a football score. England 6. Iran 2. Senegal 0. The Netherlands 2. The Dutch are up and running in their World Cup campaign after missing 2018. And the United States, their first World Cup since Brazil 2014. The United States won, and Wales in their first World Cup since 1958 back in Sweden. USA won, Wales won. Group B already looking quite compelling. We'll also provide quite later within the show as well a graphic as it relates to the specific groups and the permutations and how Group A and Group B looks like right now. But our focus at this point in time on the England and Iran game, and a couple of records were broken in this game, a couple of things to make special note about. This is England's second biggest ever victory in the history of a World Cup, their biggest being that 6-1 win over Panama back in 2018. And of course, this is only the second time that England are scoring 6 goals in a game at the World Cup. Marcus Rashford scoring the 3rd fastest goal for a substitute ever at a World Cup. 46 seconds, rather 49 seconds, his goal in that occasion. The fastest being Ebba Sand of Denmark against Nigeria back in 1998. 16 seconds. Instant impact right there. And 35 passes were involved in the build-up for the goal for Jack Grealish, which would have been the last goal. And that's the most passes in a build-up to a goal since 1966. And what happened that year? England claimed the crown, didn't they? So certainly a lot to make note about from an England perspective. And we're also going to touch on a bit deeper as well as it relates to, the impact that it has had on a Jamaican angle as well, as players with Jamaican heritage also got on the score sheet in particular. Alex, I'll start with you on this one. We've seen Raheem Sterling in an England shirt for almost a decade now, finally getting his goal at a World Cup. How did you feel, seeing him finally get on the score sheet? We know him more as the creator, but now being on the score sheet for England in a World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when we played against Italy in the Euros, and Pirlo came out. It was a young Raheem Sterling, and Pirlo came out and he said that Raheem Sterling was the only player that they feared on the team, and to see that young Raheem Sterling now as a mature, well-rounded goal scorer, it's a very pleasing thing to see. He deserved his goal. He was very clinical, and he's improved his game over the few years that he's played for England under Southgate, and especially under Pep when he was at City as well. And he's really seeing that execution better now at Chelsea now, and especially for England. So I'm happy that he scored, and of course I have to give a shout out for Saka as well. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I am an admirer of Saka. He is very creative, and he shows that energy when he plays for England specifically, and he played very well today. So I'm happy that the forwards that played today really put in a shift.
Kadish, how important is he to England? Is he up there with Harry Kane as their biggest assets?
I think the front three of England is very important to how it is that Gareth wants to play, and it's very important. You can see how important they are because 2 of the 3 scored, and Harry Kane played an integral role in a few of those goals as well. So those 2, Saka, Sterling, they're very important to what Gareth Southgate wants to do.
Yes, indeed. As it relates to Raheem Sterling, he's the first Jamaican-born football player to score at a World Cup since the man himself, Theodore Tapper Whitmore, back in 1998 against Japan. And also Raheem Sterling, this is his 3rd World Cup, as we made mentioned earlier in the pre-game show. There he is, Raheem Sterling, Raheem Shaquille Sterling. This is his 3rd World Cup, so he has the most World Cup appearances for any Jamaican-born player. John Barnes had 2, and of course we know the 21 players that went on to represent the Reggae Boys at the World Cup in 1998. Now, Alex, the 2 goals that the Iranians scored, did it take the gloss off the victory a bit, or it was just, a commanding display from England that, there are so much positives to discuss?
Oh, definitely. It definitely took the gloss off. I think they were 2 very unnecessary goals to concede. And it does, because it's a World Cup. So any mistake that you make in a World Cup will be scaled because you have very few games. It's not like a 38-game season where you have time to adjust. You really have little time to adjust. So USA and the other teams in the group, we'll be looking at that and saying that's a possible area to exploit. So Southgate has a real task on his hand. As much as it's a 6-1 victory, yes, that's great. The 6-2 victory, that's great. However, we do know that the USA will come out tactical, and Wales will come out tactically looking at that game and saying, all right, there is a chink in the armor, and that's my biggest worry.
Yeah, I'll get onto that quite shortly. But first, Kadish, a lot of people were saying, for your Chelsea friend Mason Mount, why did he start? Why not a Phil Foden or a Colin Gallagher or a Maddison? But Mason showed exactly his class today and what we've seen at Chelsea.
Yeah, that is true. And I think a lot of Chelsea fans as well, they don't really see what it is that Mason Mount brings to a Chelsea team. And with a lot of football fans, it's all about if you're not assisting and you're not scoring, then you're not doing anything. But from my perspective as a coach, it's more than assisting, it's more than scoring. what type of runs do you make to take a defender away from another attacker who ends up going to score? And that is something that Mason Mount does a lot. He does it well, and he creates opportunities in other ways. He doesn't always have to be on the ball to be an effective player.
Indeed, and we also have some comments coming as well. Stefan Hausen, who you all would have seen yesterday, saying, comfortable victory for England and Gareth Bale showing up with the clutch moment again. Just call me a prophet. Yes, we do remember you mentioning that yesterday, Stefan. Yes, thanks very much for tuning in. And it's such a pleasure to see you guys in the votes as well. Are England solid World Cup contenders? 88% of you say yes and 12% of you say no. I would like to meet the 12% of you and see exactly what's going on and why you say it that way. Alex, what says you, yes or no?
Yes, definitely. They are World Cup contenders. You don't reach a European Championship final by mistake. So I do think they're Championship contenders. They just have, of course, World Cup, any championship is decided by margins. Small, minute, fine margins. And Netherlands will tell you that because they've reached the World Cup finals 3 times and they've lost. So it's all about margins. So, but definitely contenders. I think if Southgate plays his cards correctly, then definitely we could see it coming up.
And just a reminder to our viewers as well, we have an English fan to my immediate right and also a French fan to my far right. Kadish, England are not in your 4, right?
No, they're not.
No.
So I'm a part of the 12%.
You're part of the 12%.
I'm a part of the 12%.
Why not add them to be part of your 5? Top 5? 5 fingers? No?
Not top 5.
What are they missing to not be in your contenders?
I don't see them going all the way. England. I think England, a lot of the time, they flatter to deceive. And I mean, as English fans, am I right or am I wrong?
I think you're wrong.
I think I'm wrong. Yeah, it was a comfortable victory, but it was just against Iran, in my opinion. I think this is a group that we've all said that England is going to just walk through, go to the round of 16, and when we see their opponent in the round of 16, then I'll tell you if I think they may make it all the way. But for now, I don't think England is going all the way.
I mean, Alex, we'll touch on Group A quite shortly, but bearing in mind, the result, and we might start thinking about the teams that we might go on next. The next 2 games to come, different sort of test. The Americans and the Welsh, different from what Iran presented today. Would you say, in terms of how they approach and their setup, the way they attack?
Yeah, I think so. Even watching the USA Wales game, you can see that USA, they do have a lot of energy, which we didn't necessarily see in the Iran game. That was a different test for England. So I think when England do play the USA, Gareth Southgate will have a different sort of test on his hand. So I still think he can stick with the back 4. I think the midfield is where the battle will be won. And I saw with the USA game, with that particular midfield with Tyler Adams and McKennie in there, they carried a lot of energy. However, there were some basic fundamentals, passing and controlling, that I didn't necessarily see the USA too comfortable with. And I think that's an area where England can definitely exploit with the calmness of Rice and the energy that Jude Bellingham brings. It would be very easy to kind of pick the pocket of that midfield, and I think that's where the battle will be won.
And we also have Kamon Lee in the comments, somebody that Kadish knows very, very well. Iran is a top 20 team. They were disappointing today. Yeah, we clearly saw great evidence of that, really disappointing. She continued by saying, the USA cannot beat England, even with a Harry in a back 4. I guess you're referring to Harry Maguire. Alex, your thoughts about Harry Maguire?
Yes.
Just being part of the squad generally.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. And the World Cup proves that you can have terrible club form, and then you are a national hero. And I think as much as this, despite the mistake he made, where he fell asleep, I think.
Did he?
Or
was that John Stones' mistake?
Well, I think it was between. I think Maguire could have done more, and it's a mixture between Shaw being out of position, which exposed the 2 centre backs. But other than that, I saw a more confident Maguire. I saw a more composed Maguire this game. It definitely exceeded my expectations in terms of what I was seeing in club form. I thought that Gareth Southgate picking him over Tomori was justified, in this particular game, justified. But still nervous. As I said, there's teams will be looking at Maguire and say, all right, he had a good performance. However, there's still areas there. I think if players run at him and catch him, goal side, I think that's where you see his weakness come out. But he does bring something to this English team that makes them tick. I can't deny that.
Just a reminder of the goal scorers for England. Jude Bellingham getting on the score sheet first for England. Bukayo Saka scoring a brace. Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford and Jack Grealish. Those were the goal scorers. Many of them in their first World Cup for England. Namely Bellingham, Saka and Grealish. Sterling this is his third World Cup, and of course Rashford his second World Cup. Kadish, we've seen and also heard of the great things that Bellingham has done over in Germany. A move to England has to come quite soon, shouldn't it?
I think it will. If not to England, possibly to Spain. Because Real Madrid is rehauling their midfield. Because, we've discussed it yesterday. Madrid is getting older, and then Toni Kroos is getting older. So they are looking for a replacement. But he has done well. He's just 19 years old, and the level that he's playing with, he can only get better from here. So I expect great things from him. I just hope if he is coming to England, he comes to Chelsea.
Alex, which club team do you support?
I'm a United fan.
Okay,
I've been at you soon. Soon see the bags under my eyes. Very soon. But I think the way Jude Bellingham plays, he plays. I think he would have thrived under a Thomas Tuchel Chelsea. I don't think right now. Well, I guess possibly Chelsea would be a good outfit for him. Maybe Real Madrid as well. I know that they've already formalized their 3 replacements with Tchouaméni, Camavinga in there as well. I could see him do a shift at Real Madrid as well. Or the next best place for him, I think, would be under Pep.
As you know, during the COVID era, when he was at Birmingham City, there was heavy links to United, but he instead decided to go to Germany. In the end, you'd have to say it was the best decision because you got the playing time. Because in Dortmund, when you're a teenager, early 20s, you'll get that avenue for playing time.
Oh yes, he's a star. He's a star, and he's only going to improve. And he has a level of composure, and he has an instinct for the ball and sniffing out danger that I haven't seen in a 19-year-old for a very long time. So I'm very excited to see what he can do in the coming years, because what he's doing now at 19 it's quite impressive.
Yeah, and Kadish, we know the disappointment England had at the last Euros. Rashford missing a penalty, Saka and also Jadon Sancho. Saka scoring 2 today and Rashford scoring 1. Really being able to silence the doubters today based on their ability, because that was in question since the Euros, even up until yesterday.
And I find that strange to question these top footballers. It's a penalty shootout. Anybody can. The greatest players in the world have missed penalties. It happens, and so their quality was never in doubt. And to see them come out today and they've kind of they've banished the ghost of the Euros. Basically, that's how I see it. And they've matured, and they are better players for it.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So England 6, Iran 2. England goes marching on, and they'll next face the Americans on Friday. So we look forward to that contest as well, and we hope to hopefully get some of the reactions if there are certainly some goals involved. We'll see if Alex is somebody that celebrates or somebody that is silent during matches. Only time will tell. But there again is the graphic as it relates to the results that are happened today. The 3 matches, so 4 matches played so far within the competition itself. 14 goals in 4 matches. England 6, Iran 2. The United States 1, Wales 1, and of course the Netherlands getting the better of Senegal by 2-0. Let's now move on to the second fixture of the day. The Dutch, their first World Cup since 2014. Alex, a bit of nerves for the Dutch early on, but job done in the end.
Yeah, and I don't think the scoreline represents what happened in the game. I thought it was a very balanced game. I thought Senegal did bring a level of pressure that we never expected. We thought that they would be a little bit crippled because of Mane, but I think Ismail Assar really stepped up to fill in those boots, and he was giving Matthias de Ligt specifically a hard time. He was making him and Van Dijk sweat in that game. It was just unfortunate that they didn't have that midfield engine to produce more chances, because I think anyhow Senegal had more chances, it would have been a different game. And I think it was just a matter of who took their chances. I thought Mendy had a sloppy game. That's the keeper, Mendy. Thought he had a sloppy game. I do think that
I like a Chelsea fan.
it's typical. But I think that for the first goal, I think he has to be a bit more commanding in the air. And I think the second goal specifically, that I don't think that shot where he parried it to the right, I think he could have done a lot better for that. So it was a bit unfortunate for Senegal, but it's Van Gaal again pulling out very weird but unorthodox but effective tactics to win games.
Well, that's football at the end of the day, in terms of what he does. You agree as well, Kadish, or you have a slightly different take?
Yeah, I agree. Senegal, they created a lot of chances, and it was surprising to me, because I think when we spoke about it yesterday, we were expecting Netherlands to basically dominate from start to finish. And while watching the game, I saw the fact where the Netherlands midfield basically collapsed into the box. It was the 4 and the 3 in the box at all times. So that was surprising to me, and it's just very disappointing that Senegal wasn't able, I should say, to take more of the many opportunities that was given to them. It would have been a completely different game. But, the Netherlands are a top team for a reason, and they showed why at the end. Never give up. And
That's true. And let's not forget, my producer just reminded me as well that Senegal are the African champions as well. Might not be a Mane, but we saw certainly that they were a team that was a never give up mentality.
Right. So I think when who was it, Eto, that said that he said that we will have 2 African countries in the finals. Maybe not this World Cup, but it is definitely not a too far-fetched prediction to have. I do believe at some point, at the rate that African football is going, that we could see an all-African final at some point. Definitely in my lifetime.
Are Senegal Africa's best chance of coming out of a group at this World Cup, in your view? Or is it Ghana?
I would have to see. I think Senegal, being African champions, you would say that. But it's a funny World Cup so far we've seen. But with... I don't remember a World Cup with having so many injuries. It's the first World Cup we've had where the reigning Ballon d'Or is not in... Ballon d'Or winner is not in the World Cup. We've seen some strange things before the World Cup has even started. So one would say that, of course, Senegal is the best African representative to go the furthest in the World Cup. But we'll have to see. But based on the game today, despite the loss, I think if Senegal just changes a few things and maintain their ball retention and their energy, I think we could see them still come out to the group and do some damage in the knockout stages.
Yeah, I said it yesterday when we were talking about our predictions. I said that I see Netherlands and Senegal coming out. And based on what I saw today, I'm sticking firm with that prediction, because in the Senegal-Ecuador game is going to be an exciting one, because there's 2 energetic teams going at each other. And I'm expecting Senegal to get a result against Qatar. So when we see Senegal-Ecuador, I guess based on that game, we'll see them coming through.
Yes, indeed. Let's have the graphic on our screen as it relates to Group A and where it stands right now. So it is the Dutch, the Netherlands. They had a similar margin result like Qatar as well. So Ecuador, 2-0 victory over Qatar yesterday, and of course the Dutch, a 2-0 win over Senegal. So it's the same goal difference, same goals scored, same goals against. The Dutch and Ecuador, as it stands, those are the top 2 teams in the group. Kadish, you made mention already that Ecuador-Senegal game will be the one to watch. But as you know, Alex, the margin for error for Senegal is now slim, because even a point for Ecuador makes the job even more challenging.
Oh yeah, definitely, and this is why this group is very, very fascinating. It's probably one of the more fascinating groups because you have a very energetic, dark horse Ecuador. You have a Senegal without a Mane, with an expectation automatically put on them that they're going to underperform, so they have a point to prove as well. The Netherlands, who has a point to prove with Van Gaal battling prostate cancer, coming back from the ruins of their poor performances. So it's a group of points to prove, right? Everyone in that group, and you have Qatar, the host nation, has a point to prove as well. So it's a group of points to prove. And I think that in and of itself will give us some quality games. You're going to see some cards. You're going to see some controversial decisions. You're going to see a lot of energy, and I'm excited to see what the outcome of this group is going to be.
Indeed, the Netherlands, they're extending their unbeaten run against African teams at the World Cup. That streak now extends to 5 games. The Dutch had a 1-1 draw against Egypt back in 1990, a 2-1 win over Morocco in 94, a 2-1 win over the Ivory Coast in 2006, and back in 2010, the Dutch defeated Cameroon by 2-1. Now, just a reminder of how the game against the Senegalese team went today. Cody Gakpo, he scored in the 84th minute. That was his 4th international goal in only his 10th appearance for the Oranje, the Flying Dutchman. And of course, Davy Klaassen scoring in injury time, second half injury time there, where Klaassen, that was his 11th international goal, and he was also the Dutch Footballer of the Year for 2016. So yeah. And of course, this was, as it relates to Gakpo, his first goal on his debut in the World Cup. So absolutely brilliant from the young man over there as well, who's been doing some brilliant things. And whenever he scores for the Netherlands team always wins. So that's an omen that they'll be hoping to keep within their favour as well, and something that they'll be hoping to build upon. The Senegalese, as it relates to against UEFA teams, not bad a record, to be quite fair. They beat France back in 2002. They drew 1-1 with Denmark, defeated Sweden by 2-1, and fell 1-0 to Turkey in the quarterfinals of 2002. And of course, got the better of Poland 2-1 back in 2018. And this result today now makes their record 3 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw in the World Cup. So the Dutch are up and running. Alex, a contender for you, the Dutch?
Yeah, I think that you can never count a man like Van Gaal out. They went to the finals in 74, got knocked out by West Germany. Went to the finals in 78, got knocked out by Argentina. And again in 2010, they lost against that wonderful Spain team. So they have a formula to withstand, and they were never the favourites in any of those 3 World Cups. We were looking at them then like we're looking at them now. Yeah, they're good, they're contenders, but there's Argentina, but there's Brazil, and then they wiggle themselves into the finals. You're wondering how on earth did they get there? But they're there, and then they lose. But they're definitely contenders, and I think that if the more people keep their eyes off of them, the greater their chances to sneak into the semi-finals, into the finals.
So what were your thoughts when he became manager of Manchester United? Was it mixed feelings as well, Van Gaal, after that display with the Dutch where they finished 3rd in 2014?
Well, that's another terrible... I don't even want to talk about that particularly,
Especially after the FA Cup?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. You can't really judge a manager's performance when they manage United, because that's a different ball game. That's a different... You're not just playing football. You're playing politics. You're playing hierarchy. You're playing management. You're not just managing the team. You're managing everything around you. While for the national team, you're just managing the hopes of the nation. That's it. You're managing the hopes of the nation. It's a completely different ball game. So for Van Gaal to take up the Netherlands, I thought it was, a breath of fresh air, and I would encourage any manager who manage United to go manage a national team, to go prove themselves and clean their slate. My comments about Van Gaal and his tenure at Manchester United, I'm not going to apply that to his hopes for Netherlands. He's a competent coach before he came to United. He's still a competent coach. He has some very unorthodox tactics. I'll never forget the last World Cup. We substituted. He brought on Tim Krul last minute. For the penalty shootout, and it was the most. We were thinking, what on earth is this man doing? But that's Van Gaal in a nutshell. So that's why, as long as you have a Van Gaal in your side, you have a chance.
Yeah, indeed. And just to take some of the comments that we're having as well, Stefan Hausen says, African football has a far road to travel if we're to see an African team in the final of a World Cup. No one is close. I tend to agree with you there, Stefan. Kamon Lee says, Mendy needs competition. He has now gotten the shopkeepers should never be handed an automatic start. Senegal had their opportunities. At Chelsea, Kadish, do you agree that there should be more competition, especially when you have Kepa there in the wings?
There should be. One of the things that I realized when Mendy just came, he was brilliant, and he made some saves where you're like, wow, how did he do that? And then I think he got comfortable, and that's the thing with a lot of our players at Chelsea. They've become comfortable. The only persons who can constantly fight for the club, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Mason Mount. I can't say that about anybody else. Mendy, the less said about Mendy, the better right now. Because I thought he was one of the best keepers when he just came, but he has regressed. He has not progressed. So is that down to Mendy not being a good player, or is it down to the goalkeeping staff at Chelsea?
Yeah, why is that? Because especially after the trophies that have been won, everything just took a curve. So it's quite baffling to see that change. Has the defense changed much in that time frame?
We've added players, and we've added better players after. Would I say better? I would say we've added competent players. Let me not say better. We've blooded young Trevor Callaway, and he has proven to be one of those up and coming defenders. And him learning beside Thiago Silva is the best thing that could happen to him. We've added Cucurella, who was brilliant for Brighton. I have no idea what's going on now. Koulibaly, who we've been hounding for years, he's finally here. He's not playing well. The young Frenchman, what is it, Fofana?
Right.
Yeah, well, that is injuries. So it's just, I don't know if once they get to Chelsea, they feel like, oh, I've made it.
Yes, it's London.
Yeah, no need to try. And that is irritating as a Chelsea fan.
It's the curse. It's a curse.
But
Chelsea
Simon,
curse, yeah.
I just wanted to say something. You said I was a French fan.
Yes.
No,
No?
a Spain fan.
You're a Spain fan. Thank you.
Raul
Thank you very much.
was the person who made me fall in love with Spain from Real Madrid.
Yes.
And still a Spain fan.
I am still a Spain fan.
Okay.
Yes, but I just know they're not going in real far in the tournament.
I realize because they're not one of your contenders.
They're
Spain
not.
at all.
Yeah, they're not. I have a Sergio Ramos Spain shirt, so I'm a bit salty because he's not there. But realistically speaking, they're not better than the 4 teams that I've chosen.
Oh my!
I don't think they're better than Argentina. They're not better than Brazil. They're not better than France. They're not better than Germany.
Yeah, our producer Jeff is not happy about that. You just really, really upset him. Oh my word! Unfortunate, really.
I'm so sorry about that. I apologize.
Changing of the guard, the Iniestas, the Xavis, the Busquets, that era. Well, Busquets is still there, but apart from that, is that the reason why, or the lack of the number 9? Why is that? It's
I
a change.
think it's really Spain has not fully rebuilt that side from the Xavis and the Iniestas. If it's a side where, as I can still say, where Sergio Ramos is needed, because I still think that Sergio Ramos has a lot to offer the national team, then we haven't really fully transitioned. They haven't built up the squad. If Aspilicueta can make the team, why can't Sergio Ramos? you understand where I'm coming from? So Spain, they're a good team. In the next 2 or 3 years, we'll see the best from them, but they're still young, they're still developing. So, a couple more years time, and I'll have them for the Euros next year.
Yeah, I think what Luis Enrique is trying to do is he's trying to build a particular type of team, and that's particularly why David De Gea was left out, and he went over for Unai Simon and those other goalkeepers. I think there's a type of caliber of team that he's trying to pick, and clearly he didn't see a Sergio Ramos in that kind of team. I think he's trying to build a technically savvy ball-playing Spain that he's used to. And he probably thinks that Sergio Ramos is the old school Spain, and I don't necessarily blame him. Sergio Ramos is a marquee player, marquee,
But he's also a red card waiting to happen.
and and that I can understand. So,
Yeah.
but I think Spain is crippled by their culturally habitual type of football. We saw it at the last World Cup, where I think it was against the Netherlands. They didn't play a striker. I think it was in Russia. I don't remember which game it was. They had no striker. They had,
It was actually against Iran. Yeah,
Yeah,
they had
Iran.
in the group stages. Yeah.
They had no striker, and they were comfortable with that. They it wasn't strange to them.
Well,
And I think the only alternate, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the only alternate striker number 9 they have is Morata.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So again, I think they're building something for the future. That's the best I can say.
you know, there's more comments and people are really, really livid about this. Come on, leaves his caliber and leave out De Gea. He's blind. If Dani Alves gets picked for Brazil, Sergio Ramos can get picked for Spain.
Yes. I again, you have to understand that, Luis Enrique, again, is looking at it from a point of view of what's the best crop of players that will execute his philosophy. What's the best crop of players that can do that in the most effective way? And I would, based on the performance of the World Cup last year or last 4 years and the howlers that De Gea did. Remember the shot against the Cristiano took a shot at him and fumbled it and went into the goal, and the free kick didn't move. So I would look at that and say, I don't want that again. You understand? As much as your form, and it's funny because his form going into the World Cup that year was good. So it was a shock to see him perform like that. So Luis Enrique is saying, "Boy, I don't want it to happen to me again. I'm not going to take that risk," and I don't blame him.
So you think that the David De Gea and the form that he's been on for Manchester United for the last few years, you think that David De Gea deserves to go to the World Cup?
It deserves to go in a World Cup, but maybe not in a Luis Enrique team.
Oh, okay.
I would have to agree there. Yeah, the form that we saw of late has been impressive. But to be Spain's number one, that's another conversation altogether.
Yeah.
But to be one of 3 keepers, absolutely, I think he makes the plane, definitely. Yeah. And I think it's a great time that we use this to transition to what CONCACAF has in store, and we got to see Uncle Sam's army, the Eagles, the United States, as they took on Wales in their opening game of the World Cup. This is Group B, and the way that it looks right now, England at the top, looking pretty, looking happy with 3 points. The Dragons of Wales with 1 point. The United States with 1, and also Iran at the foot of the table without a point. Kadish, for the US side of things, 2 points dropped or a point gained?
I think from the position they were in, it's 2 points dropped. But from what the expectation was, it's a point gain. But it really is 2 points dropped. And I think what happened is they got the goal and they said, okay, that's it. We just needed that one goal. And as a football coach, it's the one goal is always nerve-wracking. You have to find a balance between being defensively solid but still going out and getting that second goal. And we always hear commentators say it, a little breathing room with that second goal. They didn't do that. And we have Clutch Bale, as Stefan calls him, and you have players like Aaron Ramsey out there as well, who can sometimes make something out of nothing. I'm pushing for that second goal.
Same for you as well, Alex? Happy for CONCACAF to get a point?
No, to be honest, it's neither a point gain or 2 points. I think they're lucky to be at the World Cup in the first place because
the US?
Yes,
really?
They were poor in qualifying.
Interesting. So the teams that finished below them were worst.
Well, yeah, I think this was a poor year for CONCACAF in terms of qualifying. But I think there's a fundamental pass control principle that they're missing. The USA, they have a lot of energy. but when it comes on to composure on the ball, the first 5-6 minutes, tackles flying in, yellow cards, quick. I'm saying, what's going on? What was told at the beginning of the game for them to be out? And I just think there's a level of composure. What are we doing with the ball? Let's keep it and make key particular passes. That kind of coaching is not there. I don't see it.
You know what I find interesting? They played like how I think a lot of local teams play. It is always rush. There's never any composure on the ball to try, and they say let's keep possession, let's build something, let's try and create the chances out wide. It's always a quick quick transition is good at times, but sometimes you need to take a step back if it's especially if it's not working. Take a step back and see how best can we break down this team, and they didn't do that at all.
Not at all today. Just a recap of the goal scorers there. Tim Weah opening the scoring for the Americans in the 36th minute, and Gareth Bale with a penalty in the 82nd minute. And a day you could say that Jamaicans can rejoice as a whole. Firstly, to kick off the day, Raheem Sterling, Jamaican-born, becoming the first Jamaican-born player to score at a World Cup since Theodore Tapper Whitmore back in 1998. Marcus Rashford, his mother's side of the family, maternal side St. Kitts, his father's side Jamaican, so he got on the score sheet as well, and being part of the record books, the third fastest goal by a substitute in the World Cup. And Tim Weah getting on the score sheet. Tim Weah, as we know, is the son of the legendary George Weah. There we go. Ballon d'Or winner in 1995, and now President of Liberia. Remember, Tim Weah actually scored against Jamaica back in the qualifiers, the first time that fans were allowed at the office post-COVID. Yeah, he scored against Jamaica, and he celebrated, even though his mother was there in the stands and everything. But certainly he's aware of his Jamaican heritage. Yes, so his mother's side has Jamaican heritage. So 3 persons right there on the target, and we're certainly proud about the work that they've been able to do. Alex, the US or Wales, which one of them are you looking forward from an England perspective to play next? Although it's the Americans next, but do they give you any reason for concern?
Yes, definitely.
Really?
I think that we've seen so far that it's a World Cup of injuries, and to see how aggressive and reckless USA play, I feel like if they lose, that's not the biggest concern for me. I feel like we most likely get a major injury or something. I don't like how unrefined that USA team is. I think they'll come out and play aggressive. I think their concern for the ball will be minimal. Their concern for the man in front of them will be their top priority. Just by seeing that Wales game, seeing Weston McKennie try to knock ankles off the pitch, and Serginho Dest at the beginning of the game looks like he has blood in his eyes for whatever reason. So that kind of reckless kind of football, especially in the heat of Qatar, it scares me, because we've already seen, the likes of Reece come out of injury, and all those kind of players come out of injury. I don't want to see any more of my footballers, or any footballer of any team particularly, to succumb to injury. So
there we go. That's on your screen. That's Tim Weah, the goal scorer for the Americans today, getting on the score sheet.
And I think he took his goal very well. Absolutely. I think he took his goal very well. He was 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he had this very slim margin to score, and I think he took his goal very well.
Absolutely. Go
Can
ahead.
I say though, I think the US came out how they came out because they saw this game and the Iran game is a chance for them to get points. So they came out aggressive to try and attack as much as possible and get something out of this game. They got something out of it, but based on where they stood initially, it wasn't good enough. If I'm in England, I'm looking forward to both teams. I don't think any of these teams are going to challenge me or give me anything to worry about. Simon, you have your memory is impeccable. When was the last time Wales beat England?
It's been a while.
And this is an aging. We spoke about aging squads. This is an aging Wales squad as well. And who do they have coming off the bench to make them better or to keep them at a certain level. They have no one. So England, if I am Gareth Southgate, I'm looking at these two games as we still have a job to do. But, I am starting my preparation for the next round.
I agree. I definitely.
Well
I
said.
definitely
Well said.
agree.
You hit the nail on the head there in terms of the depth. It's if you go past the Bale and you go past the Ramses, there's not really much there. So I can understand exactly where you're going, where that is concerned.
Ramsey, who played poorly today, by the way, had a terrible game.
Still suffering from that Ryan Shawcross effect.
Maybe something. I don't know. I don't know.
That's been over a decade.
Over a decade. Yes.
So,
But
Still a long time ago.
Well, everything knocked off of him. He couldn't control it. He was sweating. It was terrible game for Ramsey.
Yeah, and just on the Wales side of things as well, just to let you all aware, although he didn't score today, Brennan Johnson, his father, David Johnson, born and raised in Jamaica and played for the Reggae Boys back in 1999, scored 2 goals in 4 appearances. Which club did he play for? Manchester United. Might not have played a first-team appearance at United, but he was part of their matchday squad a number of times before being loaned out to Ipswich Town. So, David Johnson, Reggae Boy, his son, now playing for Wales. An interesting one, perhaps. Somebody dropped the ball there. Somebody dropped the ball there. That is for certain. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a couple minutes left, and we will look ahead in terms of what is to come tomorrow, in terms of the 4 matches that we have. So quite shortly, we hope to bring you that graphic on your screen as it relates to the 4 matches that we have for tomorrow. And for those tuning in as well, just a reminder as well, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to 876 Stream JA right here on YouTube, on Instagram, 87stream on Instagram, and of course on Twitter, stream876, and you can use the hashtag #fulltimestream. So 4 games on tomorrow, 4 games on. We're going to have to drink our coffee or energy drink, whatever gets you up and going. Alex, you drink coffee or tea?
Yes, I would.
I'm from England, so it's tea, isn't it?
A couple of technically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's tea.
yeah.
You're from London now, isn't it?
Yes.
So the first game that
North.
we have on Tuesday, Argentina, 2-time winners against Saudi Arabia, a team that hasn't been to the last 16 since 1994. That's at 5 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, Denmark, the resurgent Denmark, Euro 2020 semi-finalists against Tunisia. Mexico, CONCACAF Kingpins against Poland. And the defending champions, France. Will they go away from the omen of a defending champion being knocked out of the group stages as they face the Socceroos of Australia? That's at 2 o'clock. 4 games. Yes, that's right. We up the intensity 1 to 3 to 4. So get set, folks. A lot of football to be discussed. And just to remind again, the pre-game show 7:15 a.m. and the post-game show 4 o'clock. 7:15 a.m. pre-game show and post-game show at 4 o'clock. Kadish, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, easy one.
it's a simple game.
5-6.
Yeah, yeah. It's not worth well, I mean, if you want to watch a game, fine,
Yeah.
but it's not worth getting up out of bed for. It's a simple game. It's we all know where it's going to go.
Yeah, you're drinking your coffee tomorrow morning to get up.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
This is the most complete Argentinian team I've seen in a long time. Complete, meaning it's not reliant on Lionel Messi. It really isn't. And I think that's what he needed. So I'm excited to see this Argentinian team show their colors.
Yeah, so Argentina 35 games unbeaten. I'm gonna go with 5-0 tomorrow. The other group game, Mexico, Poland. Where's your loyalty?
Well, with neither of those teams, to be very honest with you. I was happy when Mexico knocked out Germany. Was it Germany?
2018.
Right. I was happy with that. That made me feel good. Because I'm not the biggest German fan, especially what they did to Ozil. So I have my reservations with them. So I would lean more to Mexico. But the Mexicans are a bit bitter about their national team. They've always had a high expectation of them.
They should.
And they've never able to really deliver past round of 16.
In recent times, yeah, round of
Right.
16, yeah. it's
Right.
been that
So
hurdle.
hopefully, and I subscribe to a couple podcasts who have Mexican diehard fans, and they don't have high hopes either for their teams. But let's see. We're going up against a Lewandowski led Poland, who has a point to prove as well. So we'll see. But I would give Mexico the nod in that one.
Kadish, Mexico, Poland, or draw?
Viva Mexico.
Viva Mexico. Vamos, si se puede. France, Australia.
France.
France?
I think France will win, but they'll struggle.
Okay.
Against Australia?
I can understand why you say that.
I think they'll struggle. I don't think it will be as easy as everyone thinks it will be.
All right, France. And finally, Denmark, Tunisia. Christian Eriksen back from?
Back from, I'm not saying that, but he's back in the colours.
Yes,
he's back.
absolutely.
He's back. I'm excited to see a Christian Eriksen led team, and he has really emerged back into his creativity, that number 10/number 8 role that we've seen him come to really fill the boots of. So I think we have an outfield. I think we have a United outfielder playing for Tunisia as well.
Hannibal Mejbri.
Right, and I'm excited to see him. He's an exciting prospect as well. I would give Denmark the nod for this one though.
All right, and same Bakadish?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely Denmark.
All right, easy peasy. There we go. So just a few more comments before we wrap up the discussion for this afternoon. Kamon is saying, complete, will they reach far? Possibly the final. I can understand that. Nitro says, George Weah, greatest to never play a World Cup? Him and Ryan Giggs, perhaps? Could put that in a conversation. George Weah, Ryan Giggs?
It's a good conversation. That's a good conversation.
That would be an interesting conversation, certainly. And we'll talk
could-
definitely when you see our producers on the panel.
We could
Jeff
throw
and John.
Haaland in there as well.
Perhaps.
Yes, time.
There's time we could throw him in there because it doesn't.
Not yet.
Yeah.
When he
He's
retires. If he
21,
hasn't
so,
played
yeah.
ready, by the time he retires, then but
By
he has
time, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good conversation to have.
Absolutely, definitely something worth having. So just a reminder, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We really, really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to 876 Stream JA right here on YouTube. Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you very much, Kadish. Really, really
Thank you for
appreciate it.
having me.
Yes, as you know, we go live at 7:15 a.m. tomorrow morning. Get your coffee, get your tea, stay with us. We'll give you everything you need ahead of these 4 big matches on store. Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Denmark, Tunisia, Mexico, Poland, and France, Australia. Groups C and D. We're going to be halfway through the group stages of the World Cup as it relates to the first game for each team. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire production team, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.
EH76 Stream. Bless up.